Welcome to West Virginia Commonplace. This episode is behind the scenes, and episode is entitled "The Curation." The curation that we're talking about was for this little bit of a series I did for 3 weeks in September, and it was for boundaries. Boundaries was something that I wanted to talk about, but I hadn't necessarily just like sat there and been like, "Hey, this is something that I can just talk about on my own. I could just do one of these like 5 or 10 minute episodes and be like, what do you do? Oh, hey, that's cool." No, 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 no. I wanted to bring in people to get different perspectives. So originally, I wrote this out in my notebook, and as I was writing it in my notebook, it was kind of crazy. Things started like just coming together. Like I should get this person for that. I'm listening to this person's podcast. I'm looking at different people across social media. I'm like, hey, this person. So I had a list of 9 people. I narrowed it down to 4. And how I got to that process of elimination as I was going through, I was checking out what these people were doing with their podcasts and just different things. And I was slowly seeing and how I communicated with them, how they have certain boundaries and certain different things that I liked. And then out of that 9, when it got down to the 4, 5 of them had some qualities that just didn't represent what I wanted to be inside of a show. And then when we got to 4, one of the candidates that I wanted to have on there and still want to have on at some point later on, they had scheduling difficulties and things going on in life. So, type of person inside podcasting nowadays that I don't put pressure on people. I'm not going to go through too many hoops to get somebody to do my show. If you're busy, you're busy. We'll leave it at that. We can come back to it another day. Then I got to a point where I narrowed after that third one. I had 2 people in particular, Amy and Carla. Amy, for instance, I was watching how she did things and how she was developing things and um, her stuff over on Instagram. And then Carla, I listened to her podcast and I started listening heavier and heavier. And I'm like, hey, this lady, I want her to be on my show. So next thing you know, I got out here and spoke with both of them. And the way that episodes come together for me are not the way that you think. I mentioned to them both about the boundary stuff, but I didn't know that we were going to record it until we literally were ready to record it. Me and Amy sat through a session. We ended up doing 2 podcasts in a row, and that's how that episode was made. Same thing with Carla. We sat there. First off, it just started off as a normal conversation. We didn't even talk about boundaries. It ended up being an unfiltered series episode. We get in there and we just start. Next thing you know, we're talking blah blah blah. So I got to cut that, and then we start the boundary episode after that. And then after that, I'm still in the month of August and I've already recorded this at the very second week of August. And I'm like, here, I want to set this up 3 weeks over. And I had a previous recording with Michelle from my comeback podcast. And that extra show with her, I just chopped it up and I edited it a way that I would have done the show had I been putting it on my format. And with her podcast being gone now, it's gonna, a whole new audience will hear it. And the way that I did it, I followed the narrative that she had, and I just took excerpts out, added in a little bit of me, a little bit more concise and not just blabbing all over the place. And I left it as my 3rd episode. The reason that I didn't get a 4th episode is because I wanted to go back to the person that I wanted to be in the 3-week thing that I was doing, and that person still they didn't have reservations, but they were doing things. And I'm like, hey, I'm not going to interfere with anybody's process. So one thing that I've learned in podcasting, and I'll say this to anybody, whenever you're getting a series together, curating or doing anything, if you ask people to do it and they're busy, be courteous, be nice, hey, have a backup plan. And in this case, I had a backup plan. And with that, I just decided to close that series out at 3. I wasn't going to stretch a 4th because the 4th I felt needed that person. And I went on and I started getting things together for this wrestling episode that just came out uh the day before Labor Day. That right there took a little bit of time. I reached out to tons of people, and the people that submitted them to me, I got a few just great ones off the bat that I was just like, hey, I need to put these ones in place. And then I got one a little bit later, and I was already through most of the production. So that's how we ended up with an extended version of WrestleFest that you can download across any of the premium stuff that we have going on Apple, Spotify, wherever. And it will be released later on in the year when it gets colder, the extended version, because it's only an extra minute or so inside, and that show's already an hour. But what I've learned from both these experiences is when you're curating and you're trying to get something to be a certain way, even with dealing with people and how they uh, are available or not available, that's fine and dandy. You can still make your episode. And if you do decide to make an extended version later, that's extra content you can use for something else. And that was like my great experience there with that. I was like, wow, this is really what I want, And anyway, so with the curation and all that stuff, I was like, what date do I drop this? And I was like, I've got the Strong Barrier series going on, but I want this episode out because everybody knows I'm known to keep episodes. I mean, I have episodes from 3 years ago that have that are sitting on the cutting room floor. And I mean, I probably will release them, may not release them, you never know. I've gotten to the point like with podcasting, if I can get a certain volume of episodes recorded, which, like I said, I do my recording stretch from now until the beginning of October. So that's August 26th or something like that, till the very beginning of October. I'm going to be able to place these shows in certain areas and use them how I see fit, as long as it follows the same direction that these people that are giving me content want to use. Want me to do. So that right there, like, has been just once again another one of those amazing things that I like with that. Now going forward, uh, the reason that I'm doing a behind the scenes on this real quick is this. So after I got those episodes ready, I had to go back and listen to the content to see how that stuff was going to get organized. Amy's Amy J. Harris's episode came out first because I had it the longest, or well, the second longest, and I was able to just get a narrative for it. I set up a certain type of advertisement for it, and with doing the episode with Carla, I did it in August, but I still had to edit it and I had to get it right to where I wanted it to be. Plus, I have the second part of that, which is the Unfiltered series, which I want to push them both the same week. So you're getting your heavy dosage of Carla, and shout out to her and her podcast, She Blows Up podcast, and shout out to Big T, Land Over Legend out there, because from the work that they did together, that's another thing that really brought me in and made me want to get even heavier into this and doing an episode with her. And plus her stuff previously, one of the best podcasters out there, one of the most conscious. So definitely would tell anybody, if you get a chance, to definitely work with her. Like, that's just a thing you want to do. Now, going further with this, so I set it out in those weeks, and I look back, and these are the strategic things that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the holiday of Labor Day, which I looked at, and I realized, there was a lot of opposition to listening to a podcast, because who wants to listen to a podcast when yesterday would be today for me, whatever. This weekend you can go see $3 movies. I'm not saying it was anything great out there, but people have cookouts, and this is pretty much the last passage for people to really go visit people before the holidays. Kids are in school, or you're just getting back to your normal life. September, usually after the MTV Music Awards, I always figured that was the start of my new year for whatever I was doing, not based on school, just in general. So to me, that first episode with Amy would catch attention. The wrestling episode was something I just threw in there because it was something I wanted to get out, and it didn't actually have any curation to it. The curation inside that is just the process of building it up. Who I wanted wearing, who represented, the best tale of story inside that. So leading into Carla, there's going to be people coming back home. There's going to be people, that are going to be driving home Sunday and Monday for Labor Day. So what are they going to do? They're going to sit in the car. They're going to listen to their playlist of music, and then whatever podcasts they're listening to or whatever they interact with, that's the next thing they're going to pick up. Or for the homebody that's going to be home on Monday, man, they might be cleaning around the house. So I thought about those things when it came to putting out that show. And then following up, some people are going back to heavier work because all their kids are back in school. So if they're not doing their at home work, they got that commute to work. So that commute to work is going to make a stronger situation when it comes to shows. Now, with me personally, I will cut the shows back to once a week because it's going to be kind of hard to get somebody to pull for my show 2 times in a week when, I produce a great quality product, I believe. But I know that if I cut back to one show a week, it's going to make it easier for people to just say, hey, got this show on Thursday. I can listen to it Saturday. I can carry it over to Monday if I don't listen to it, or I can take it on my weekend break, listen to it, and go from there with it. And so generally the shows will be doing, I'll do Thursday and Saturday for those. Tuesday, I'm going to be kind of iffy about because Tuesday is a weird day for me myself. Monday and Tuesday is kind of like I'm getting back to work. And in some cases, I'm starting work on Tuesday. So if I'm starting work on Tuesday, I really am not going to listen to any podcasts or anything other than my normal playlist. So that's one of the things where you just kind of have to grab it, figure out where you want to go with it. And that's just one of those things. And if you're not doing that kind of stuff, then you just got to figure out how to curate your show. Because the one thing that I like about certain shows and certain shows that I don't, some people have the gift to literally produce a show on Tuesday, edit it, get it out, put it on Friday. I don't have that gift. I got to get them shows up there. I got to figure out exactly what I want my message to be for this week. If we're doing those life coaches, I got to figure out if that life coach is positioned with what's going on today and it's something that just won't fall on dead ears. And that is like the hardest thing. And I'm trying to tell you, like, the hardest thing for me to overcome when it comes to this whole podcasting thing. It just gets so silly because it's like sometimes I can just release some fire, boom, boom, boom. And other people, like I said, they got a certain style of content that just never loses its value like that. But sometimes some of my shows, that's why I curate, because some of that stuff can just go dead in the water, and I don't want that. I want to be able to keep producing my shows, doing what I'm doing, and enjoying podcasting. And to finish this up real quick, curation is a great thing and it's a bad thing too, because that way I kind of control my content to a degree. I get feedback, so that's why I like to curate. Some people don't have to do that, and nothing against people that don't curate. But if you got a catalog of stuff, it makes for a good listen. It makes for a good feel. It makes it feel like I'm doing a Britannica encyclopedia type deal. These episodes go here and they go here because. But on that note, that's the end of this episode. I just wanted something quick out there behind the scenes of the curation for the Boundary series that I started. And it's the same deal with podcast collides and stuff like that. Those type of shows and unfiltered series and stuff like that. Those shows really have to make sense when I do them, and when I release them, because I just don't want to put those out all the time, because certain listeners come to listen for a certain thing and other listeners come listen for a different thing, because we don't necessarily niche down on one thing. I want to have a wide array so that people can say, hey, this is what I want to listen to this week, and listen to something else that I have that week and be like, hey, this is different. I might like this. That's the type of audience I want to build up, and I've tried to build up with our show, because people just know it's a variety show. So once again, I'm JR, host of West Virginia Commonplace, co-host Stacy. She's out there in the world doing what she does. Um, you can take time and follow us over on Instagram. You can follow our TikTok. Definitely jump on our TikTok, because we have all kinds of different things going on over there. We got Tumblr, all these other places, wvncommonplace.com. If you need help with your podcast, you can inquire over there. We do podcast consulting, and different things like that. All sort of things that we're doing. We're getting close to wintertime, probably another convention here or there. But other than that, that's all we're going to have going on. So this is JR from West Virginia Commonplace signing off.